A long-awaited prisoner swap between Iran and the United States is reportedly now happening. News agency reports say 5 dual US-Iranian citizens have left Tehran airport on a Qatari plane. They're being exchanged for 5 Iranians held in the US. Now, Tehran agreed to release the prisoners, including Siamak Namazi, an Iranian-American businessman sentenced to prison for espionage, which is a charge his family rejects. Iran is getting access to $6 billion in oil revenue that was frozen by South Korea. Iran's foreign ministry has confirmed the money would be transferred to a bank account in Qatar, where the agreement allows it to be used for humanitarian purposes. OK, we can get more from DW special correspondent Aya Ibrahim, who is in Washington, D.C. So, Aya, this swap reportedly now underway. Can you tell us more?
We know that this agreement, this swap, is a result of an agreement that was reached last month. And now, after some very tense hours this morning, we now have reports that the 5 Iranian Americans have boarded the flight from Tehran en route to Qatar. They're also accompanied by 2 Iranian Americans who were not in prison, but had been prevented from leaving Iran. We know that in exchange for getting these Iranian Americans, the U.S. has agreed to release 5 Iranians who have been in U.S. custody for nonviolent crimes, mostly related to violating sanctions regulations. And there will be the $6 billion of funds, Iranian funds, we should emphasize, that will be made available to Iran. The U.S. officials have been clear that these funds are to be used to purchase food, medicine, and agricultural products, and that if they have any sign that they're being used to purchase weapons or anything else, they will work with the Qataris to make sure that that money stops being released. And Qatar has really played, it seems, a very strategic role in this agreement. It's not only the mediator, but the money which has been released from a South Korean account went to Switzerland and is now in the Qatari central bank, where it will be dispensed to Qatar, to Iran. So it seems that they have also played a huge role, along with the Swiss, in securing this prisoner exchange.
Aya, this deal has been quite heavily criticised in the US, hasn't it? Can you explain why?
Well, Republicans have criticized this deal, saying that it's a sign of weakness, that, with exchanging prisoners and the releasing of funds, the U.S. administration and the Biden administration specifically has compromised too much with Iran. But it should be noted that prisoner exchanges of this kind are not, these are not unique to the Biden administration. The Obama administration has engaged in similar agreements, and the Trump administration also agreed to release, engaged with the Iranian regime to secure the release or exchange of prisoners. But the deal is also being criticized by Iranian Americans. I spent the weekend at the Jina Mahsa Amini marches here in D.C., where there's a huge Iranian-American community, and they say this deal puts them in jeopardy. Iran does not recognize dual citizenship, and they fear that this will continue to be used by the Iranian regime if some of them have to visit Iran to visit to see family or do business, that they will be, some of them said, they will be held hostage, and that in the future this makes the world a less safe place for Americans, because it's also a sign for other dictators that if you want something out of the United States, all you have to do is hold a few Americans and detain them.
All right, DW special correspondent Aya Ibrahim reporting from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much. Now, the US-Iran prisoner swap comes 1 year after the start of massive anti-government protests in Iran. The Tehran regime has been cracking down on demonstrations sparked by the death of Jina Mahsa Amini. She died while being held in custody for allegedly failing to wear the mandatory headscarf properly. While protests have been brutally repressed in Iran, elsewhere people are keeping Jina's memory alive. Here's DW's Aya Ibrahim again, reporting from Washington, D.C., where Iranians are urging the world to keep up pressure on the regime, calling for women's freedom and democracy.
They've been planning this for ages. Now everyone is finally here.
Women's life freedom!
Some want to see Iran's monarchy restored. Others prefer a republic. All are united in one demand. They're chanting, "Down with the Islamic Republic."
It feels amazing, and it's just incredible feeling that people came to DC and they allowed us to be the voice of people in Iran. It is so beautiful that when it comes to your nation, your country, your people, you put all that differences aside, and then you focus on what's really important.
Iranians have emerged against four
Aravan Tehrani helped organize this rally. A year after Jina Mahsa Amini died in police custody, she says it's important that the world doesn't look away from what's being done to people in Iran.
For all the children that were killed, for all the women who've been silenced, raped, we hear their suffering, that we're not just here having our normal lives, that we're part of them, we are them, we hear them, and we want to support them. Of course, this is the smallest thing we can do, but we still have to do this.
Protest isn't the only way. This school bus turned exhibition is another. Aravan and her close friend Rojia helped organize a tour of this mobile art exhibition around the DC area. On the outside, the slogan that's become the call for the movement in Iran, and a timeline of milestones in the movement over the past year. On the inside, an attempt to walk visitors through what it's like as a woman in Iran.
This is told in a very short story. Our culture is a storytelling culture.
The story tells of a group of women on their way to teach. A monstrous wolf, the regime, attacks them. At the last crucial moment, one woman kicks him, and the others rise in revolution.
I just wanted to portray how evil these mullahs are. And I came up short of all the adjectives, and this side is all the bravery of the women.
The story is fictional, but the aim is to share personal feelings of peril and hopes for change, to keep the issue alive even here.
I was arrested by the morality police. So when I heard what happened to Mahsa Amini, I could really feel it with every fiber of my beings, because I was like, that could have been me.
They were 15 and 2 years old when they fled to the US. But what's happening in Iran is never too far.
A lot of girl cousins I have there, so I fight for them as well, you know. So for me, that's important.
If you stop right now, everything that we've done in the past, all these, and just forget about the protest, all these lives that have been lost, there's no justice for them. So if anything, coverage and attention should be even more than the first few weeks, because now even we are further away, we've lost more people.
And they want that attention from people in this building too.
They started at the White House and are now marching toward the U.S. Capitol building because many fear the U.S. government just isn't firm enough when it comes to dealing with the Islamic Republic. A recent prisoner exchange agreement sparked outrage in the diaspora, and many activists here tell me they want to make sure that U.S. policymakers are listening to what Iranians in and out of the country have to say.
One solution, revolution!
The voice has been heard. The response was to deal with the Islamic regime and release some funds. Actually, it's helping the Islamic regime to kill more people and also to get some more hostages. There are thousands of Iranian-American. They have to travel to Iran. By this policy, United States put them at risk to get arrested by the Islamic regime.
Many here fled the Islamic regime in Iran for more freedom here in the US. That includes being able to speak their truth to the powerful, on behalf of people back in Iran.